Hello Wolfpack, been about a month since I did my last Dent video and I thought I'd give you guys an update. Our last Dent video was done here at around September 29th where this vertical line is. And as you can see, we've moved up quite substantially since that point. We released this signal here at, I'm not going to try to say that number, 0.0042 or 0.0043. And we moved up quite rapidly, around 63%. Just in the week that followed that. So we've been doing pretty well, but, you know, and a lot of people would have taken profits. I've certainly taken a little bit of profits on Dent as well, but I'm still waiting for a bigger move, right? And I can tell you why, and I'm going to be telling you why in this video. And I think a lot of people are still holding this bag from my signal. I think a lot of people are holding Dent in general because they're waiting. Do you know what they're waiting for? They're waiting for the big spikes. Every single time Dent moves, it spikes, right? It spiked back here in February, spiked up 180%, spiked over here in February again, actually, 78%, spiked over here in March, 134%. You get the memo, right? Every single time this coin moves, it moves up very, very, very rapidly. And when it's not moving up, it's very rarely doing nothing, right? It always trends downwards. We had moves up, we trended downwards here, move up, trend downwards, we trended downwards in this whole period, we trended downwards in this little break here between the moves, we trended downwards here, and we've currently moved up a little bit, and we're not trending quite downwards. We're seeing some abnormal price action here for Dent, and a lot of people would have said that, but would have understood that this price action is a little bit abnormal, but it's nothing to be stressed about. In fact, it's quite bullish, right? And that's what we're going to be going over in this video. The fact that this price action we're seeing is actually quite bullish for Dent. You know, I'll jump straight into it, and the first thing I want to say, well, if we just zoom up in the short term, then we'll get into longer term targets. The first thing I want to say, well, what a beautiful move up, right? What a beautiful move up. We broke out of what was clearly a channel area here. We'll draw that in a second, but we broke upwards to the upside. So we broke through this channel, and we came back, and we actually flipped our critical support area here at around 0.005, sorry, and now we've slowly slanted back to the upside. What we need to be careful of is a double top in this region at around 0.06, but if we don't hit that double top, we should be pretty well to head it to the upside. I think we will be heading to the upside because Bitcoin is performing pretty well. The market in general is performing pretty well, as you would have seen in the recent couple of months or weeks or whatever it has been. So I see no reason why Dent will lag here, right? And what I'm waiting for on Dent, I'm not waiting for gradual upwards trends. We know for a fact, just of what I said at the start of this video, Dent does not see gradual upwards trends. It sees sharp moves, right? And yeah, we saw a kind of sharp move here. We saw a sharp move from the end of September when I released the video, as I said, like 64%. I guess you could say that's a sharp move, but it's nothing compared to what we've seen previously, right? If that was the sharp move, it's the smallest one we've seen. What I think's happening, and what usually happens when coins are in sideways trends, is that they're compressing, and when compression happens, it leads to an explosion. And I think that upwards move, that sharp upwards move, is going to be coming sometime in November. I can't be too sure when, but we'll get an idea in this video. So let's start drawing some stuff, right? Let's start drawing some stuff. We'll delete this vertical line. Let's start drawing some stuff. Well, first of all, we'll start off with the cup and handle formation we had on Dent. We had a cup and handle formation forming here from around May all the way to around August, right? So there's the cup, and now we'll draw out the handle. And we can draw this a few different ways, but I'm going to draw it like this, right? A little handle formation, and actually this is something that is ultra bullish that I need to tell you after I draw this handle formation, something like that, right? We'll make these lines solid so you can see it a little bit better here, and we'll turn them a little bit thicker as well. So these white lines, this is the handle formation, which is a downwards channel, which follows a cup. And what we actually saw of this handle formation, again, right? Not only, and I just mentioned this, not only did we flip this area for support after breaking to the upside, we also retested the handle, right? We retested the top of a descending channel formation, which is absolutely exponentially ultra bullish, right? Not to hype it up too much, but when a coin does that, when it breaks out to the upside, it takes a little break, comes back down and retests that region, and then heads back up. That is pretty much as bullish as you're going to get, especially when the other TA factors definitely support that as evidence, right? So what we can see if we draw from the handle formation a price target, right? And one way we can do it, and we did this in the last video, and a lot of you guys would have been disappointed it didn't play out. We drew from the bottom right-hand side test to the first test of the handle. That's one way you can draw price predictions from handle breakouts. We saw that breakout, and it didn't really play out, right? We didn't see what we actually wanted to see. I was expecting that move to be a lot sharper, but nevertheless, we still made 70% profits. Can't complain at all. But another way you can measure cup and handle formation moves is coming from the center bottom test of the cup all the way to the first test of the handle, right, to the upside vertically, and then applying that to the breakout. And that would bring us, and this doesn't show us when it will reach that point, but it would bring us to a price target of around 1.2 cents. Notice how 1.2 cents is the same region where we topped out multiple times around the peak here earlier in the year, so it makes logical sense to me. Now, what we can actually do as well is measure not only, let's delete some of these things here, not only from the handle, from the cup, we can measure from the handle, the first retest of the bottom to the first retest of the top to get us a little bit of a more realistic price target, a smaller price target to the handle formation breakout. And this is very convincing, right? This validates the cup and handle formation completely, in my opinion. It brings us right to our critical resistance zone, which is this thick blue line, right, at around 0.008, right? And that is our critical resistance zone. We need to be breaking above that in order to see an upwards continuation on Dent. And I'm expecting that break to happen in November, right? So we saw that we rejected off of this area here in August. We had some playing around with it over here, but essentially the main point I'm looking at is August, where we rejected off this region, and since then we have been in a downwards trend, right? Not fully downwards. We've had a couple of higher highs being made, but generally speaking, actually we haven't, right? Generally speaking, we've been in a downwards trend since that point, right? We've had a lower high, lower high, lower high, lower lows, right? Lower lows, and we've just seen our first higher low. We haven't seen a higher high yet, right? In order to break this whole entire downwards construction we've been seeing since August, we need to be flipping this thick blue line, right? And we need to be seeing that quite shortly. And this handle formation prediction that I just drawn up here represents or tells us that that will be happening sometime in the next few weeks, most likely. So we're looking at November, and historically, in terms of altcoin performance in November, it looks pretty good in November. October, we typically lag. November, we typically perform, right? Because Bitcoin steals the attention in October, and altcoins start to push back up in November, right? They don't fully perform until January or December, but November, we start to move upwards a little bit. So, you know, our target for November would definitely be getting over that thick blue line. I think it's very, very likely, not only possible, but very, very likely. And one more thing we can do, right, and I saw this earlier today, actually, is we've actually broken out of this handle formation. And if we head into the 4-hourly chart here, right, let's go to the 4-hourly chart. We can see not only have we broken out of this fresh handle formation, but we've also formed a new upwards channel formation here on Dent, right? We can draw it like this, right? We've had a retest in the past couple of weeks. We had a retest just yesterday, right? So we had the bottom line there. We had a retest on October 25th, October 13th, and September 30th, and we can draw the top line something like this, right? I haven't actually drawn this out perfectly before, but we can do something like that, so it could be an upwards rising wedge, but I'm thinking that it's something like this, right? A little bit of a handle formation to the upside, and those of you who know TA know that upwards channel formations are typically channels of continuation. So if we enter the channel formation from the bottom, which we have done, it is most likely 66% of the time, that we break to the upside, right? Everything in charting, everything in TA is statistics. I can't tell you anything for certain, but the probabilities are certainly stacked into our favor for breaking to the upside. When taking into account the general market as well, as I said, it looks very likely that we will be breaking that to the upside. And, you know, right now as well, and the reason why I'm kind of bullish on Dent for the next couple of weeks, specifically even after our recent rally, is because we've formed consistent higher lows on the lower time frames, right? So that's something to keep an eye on as well. If we go back to the daily chart, we might be able to see a couple more things here on Dent. Let's actually remove all of these drawings because they're becoming somewhat distracting here on Dent. So we'll remove all the drawings, and we'll bring up the VVPR, right? The VVPR is the volume profile, which essentially tells us where the historical trading volume happens on Dent. What we can note out is we have a couple of massive peaks on the VVPR. We have a peak here at around 1.1 cents. We have a peak here at current prices, right? Which explains how we're having contention in the market at current prices, right? Between around 0.069 and around 0.060. So we can see that we've topped out a few times in that region, right? Between these two blue lines here. That's because there's a lot of sellers, there's a lot of sell orders in that region, and it's becoming very hard for us to push the price up, but the higher lows are suggesting that we're pushing against that, right? And that compression is going to lead to an explosion, I think, to the upside, right? Just due to the general state of the market right now and all of the bullish things we just went over on Dent. Now, Let's look at the Gaussian channel. We flipped the Gaussian channel for support. It's flipped green, which represents we should be entering an upwards trend. As for the SMAs, we have both of the SMAs, the yellow and pink, which is the 12 and 26, compressing into one region, which again is telling us that we're compressing, and after a compression comes an explosion, most likely to the upside, right? And we have that 100 SMA down here at around 0.0048, just in case of any drops to catch us, right? And even if we drop down to that red line, right, the 100 SMA, we will still form higher lows on Dent, right? So there's nothing to be worried about, in my personal opinion. Even if we do see downside price action, which I think is unlikely, we will be caught by a lot of our fundamental SMAs that are still lagging a bit below us. So, generally speaking, I am sitting in Dent. I am waiting in Dent because I'm waiting for that explosion, right? We had that 64% move. I know I said I took profits there. Of course I would, right? 64% is a massive move, but it's nothing that is making me jump out of my boots, right? Because essentially with Dent, I mean, I already showed you, right? We had 180%, 160%. We had a move here, which was 191. And then we had that, absolutely colossal move from around March to around April, right? Within about a 2-week period, we moved up, 5x, 6x on Dent. I'm waiting for that, right? We're in a bull market. Think about what Bitcoin has done. It's moved up 64% in the last, 30 days. Why can't Dent do that? It might not happen now. It might not happen in November, but it's certainly going to happen. So it's definitely a coin I will be holding. Now, for long-term price action on Dent, right, I will say a lot of people look at this chart, right, CoinMarketCap, they look at this and they think, wow, look at the upside potential. That's not what I'm thinking at all, right? Look at the market cap, right? Dent should have been at all-time highs in April here, but it wasn't because of the circulating supply differences between 2017 and 2021. So no, Dent probably won't go to its all-time high in terms of price. It would need a lot more buyers and holders to get there now as it did back then. In fact, as I said, it should have been there earlier this year, but you can see how low the price was. So don't worry about this all-time high on Dent. If anything, look at the market cap. It's much more important, right? So that's one thing with Dent. We do have some supply issues, which cause some confusion in terms of predictions. I want to clarify this. I don't think we're going back to 10 cents on Dent in this cycle. I probably don't think we're going to go back there ever, right? The circulating supply is simply just increasing at an exponential rate, and it has increased at an exponential rate to the point where all of the coins have been devalued and it's much harder to move now. So that's not bearish. That doesn't mean I don't think Dent can move higher. As I said, I'm holding this coin. I'm waiting for a colossal move to the upside. I just don't think that move's going to take us to 10 cents. I think that's very unachievable. As for the weekly chart, I want to look into the weekly chart quickly. We don't actually have the full price history on TradingView for Dent for some reason. We have it on CoinMarketCap, not on TradingView. But I wanted to bring up a few things on the weekly chart, and we can see as well. Right, we have the Stochastic RSI, which essentially is telling us that, well, we've got some movements to do the upside. We've got the MACD, and which we've diverted a bearish MACD cross. We're heading to the upside once again. I would expect that to continue moving to the upside. It would be very, very abnormal if we see a bearish MACD cross here on Dent, which is one of the reasons why I think we're going to be moving down, right? We can't be moving down. If we move down too much, we will see a bearish MACD cross. Dent will crash. It doesn't make sense for Dent to crash. It is consistently trending on the top 10 chart on Lunar Crush. It's consistently trending on Twitter. It's one of the most popular coins right now, even though it's low in market cap valuation. People love trading it because they love these colossal moves. So I don't think we're going to be seeing that bearish MACD cross, which means that I don't think we'll be heading downwards too much, or at least I don't think we'll be weekly closing downwards, right? We might see some wicks to the downside, but essentially, I think we're just going to continue making higher lows here on Dent. We won't be dropping below this September region we had on September 23rd at around 0.0032. I don't think we're going to go all the way back down there, right? Doesn't make sense in the current state of the market, but as for the bull market support band, we've flipped that for support as well. We've got that to support us in case of any drops. We've got the Bollinger Bands, right? We've recently retested the 20 SMA on the Bollinger Bands, which is this red line. And when you see a retest of the red line and a bounce off of it, like we've seen, you usually break to the upside and you usually make a move, like we saw here, right? We broke to the upside, we retested the 20 SMA on the Bollinger Bands, and then we broke to the upside, right? You usually see something like that happen once again. That's what I'm expecting for Dent. So, I know a lot of you guys, even though we moved up 60 to 70%, which is just massive, and you can't really complain about that, I know a lot of you guys are still waiting for that colossal move. I am too, don't worry. I still think it's going to come. I'm still bullish on Dent. Keep in mind, I'm not holding this coin, right? When that move happens, I'm selling and I'm not going to return, right? I'm going to flip those profits into other altcoins. This is definitely a swing trader's coin, not a holder's coin. So watch out for it. I'll keep updating Dent. I'll keep updating on Twitter and YouTube as well. So thanks for watching the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.